Hi everybody, welcome to the Lot Pod, the Leeds Rhinos Lot 17A podcast, kindly sponsored by Fast Signs. Incredibly sad news recently at the passing of Rob Burrow after his brave battle with MND. This podcast is a tough one. We've took our time with it. We've all been very raw, very emotional. We're all incredibly hurt. But we are here to kind of celebrate Rob's life. A wonderful man and a wonderful career. I've got Chris and Rhys with me. I think we'll just kind of get through some memories of Rob's, our first memories, a couple of questions. We're going to have a couple of responses from our regulars as well along the way. But we'll just jump straight in. Rhys, what's your first memory of Rob? It's so hard because we kind of spoke about this just briefly off air, as it were. There's just so many.
There is, and I think my first memories, I don't think there's actually a particular... I can't really pinpoint it and go, it's this game in 2004. It's just, for me, it's just the 2004 season. Because that's the... And I know I always drop the fact I was only 10 at that point, just to wind you two up. But that year I fell in love with the Rhinos as a kid. And believe it or not, I'm 6'3", but when I was a kid, I was the smallest person in my team when I was that age, and I had my growth spurt at year 11, so I was quite late. But when I was the smallest kid in that pitch, and just seeing Rob playing that side at 2004 as a kid, seeing the smallest person in the pitch, it gave you belief that you could do it. And I just remember that in 2004 being that sort of first memory, is seeing Rob, the smallest guy on the pitch, but the damage that he would cause. So I can't really put like a specific game on it. Obviously, I'd love to say like the grand final and stuff, but I think I'd be lying if I said that. I think it's generally just that 2004 year, the first year being a Rhinos fan, and also just engaging with the fact that he was just so small, and I was the smallest kid in my team at rugby, and it just being able to relate and just watch him see what he do. It was, I wouldn't use the word inspiration as a 10-year-old because it wasn't in my vocabulary, but when I look back and how I looked at him, I think that's probably what I was feeling as a kid.
Chris, first memory?
It's before Rhys because I'm older.
We both are.
It's the use on Sky. They used to show the academy games.
They did it with Fab.
Yeah, and I think it was midweek. And they used to play them at Headingley, and they used to play them. And so it'll be, when was it, Academy, 99, 2000, 2001. And I just remember him and Danny Maguire like running rings around absolutely everyone. And you knew then that there was something special, but you sort of looked at him and you thought, well, he's tiny.
So how old are you then? Just like
29.
What? I
don't always ask that because like obviously
29.
I've seen loads of comments about when Rob first went up the pitch as an academy, and people are going like, "There's a kid on the field like who's like." Did you have that same thing? Like
sort of, but he would probably. I think when people talk about him like that, it'll be when he were a bit younger. I can't quite piece the sort of years together. When I think it'll have been 99, 2000, maybe when they showed him. So I'll have been 22, 23. I don't remember thinking, God, he's too small. Because I think I grew up with like Alfie Langer and people like that.
They were tiny.
You know, I mean, he were wider than he were tall, were Alfie Langer. But I don't remember thinking, oh, he's too small. I just remember thinking, jeez, he's good.
He's really good.
And I was a scrum half when I were a kid. And I were always small. I always had massive shoulder pads.
Just like Rob did when he started.
So I always looked out for him. But yeah, it was him and Danny Maguire. I can just remember them. And it's sort of, you knew that there was something good happening at the club. And I can remember seeing him around the stadium and stuff.
Yeah.
And you could tell that was something.
There was a bit of a vibe around him.
And you knew that.
You almost knew that.
There was this half-back partnership coming through.
Something special was coming in.
But yeah, watching him on Sky, I wish they still did that.
It's a really good idea. I remember hearing about Rob before I saw him.
Right.
I remember him passing, like being in the South Stand, and people who watched academy games who had more knowledge than me as a kid mentioning Rob and being like, we've got this. And people did always mention to me his height, but they were like, it's not going to stop him. He's absolutely class and he's going to go to the top. So it was almost like he was a legend in word before I even saw him. So when he made his debut, when I watched it on Sky, I think it was Warrington away.
Yeah, it was.
Did he score?
Yeah, he
He
scored.
did off back of a scrum.
I think the Warrington game were his second game.
That his second game.
I think that was the first game he started.
Yeah,
Could have got that wrong.
It was off a set, or not a set play. It was just, I think it was first tackle. The footage I've seen recently, and he just runs across the pitch, and no one's trying to. There's not quite sure what he's doing, and the gap appears, and he just makes his way through.
I think what were really good is that I had seen them academy games, so it wasn't who's this kid.
Yeah,
it was sort of. I know it would have been for Warrington fans or whatever, or people watching him for the first time. But it's sort of, a bit like you said, we sort of knew.
I sort of knew before he played, and there's a great quote from Robbie Paul that I heard recently, where he said, when Bradford were first playing Leeds and Rob were in the side, they were all kind of saying they were fearing for him due to his size. They were like, just knock his head off. And then Robbie Paul said the whole Bradford side, within about 10 minutes, weren't fearing for Rob. They were fearing for Bradford.
Yeah,
because he was just causing absolute mayhem.
Brian McDermott said something this week similar. He were on the tip sheet to run over. And then it quickly changed. When the tip sheet was watch him.
Keep an eye on him because he's absolutely rapid. So those are some of our first memories. And here are some memories from some of our regulars.
My first memory of Rob would probably be 2006. I was lucky I didn't have to go for any of the losing period. I was dropped straight into 2004 and we were winning trophies. Being a young kid, I wasn't that into rugby until one day we did an amazing comeback against Bradford at the end of 2006, and Kev wasn't playing, so the winning goal kick was all down to Rob from the touchline, south stand side, nailed it straight between the uprights, and that was the game that got me hooked. So Rob was the guy who got me hooked, and to a little 6-year-old, Rob was just like a superhero. So fast, he was like the Flash.
So my first memory of Rob is in 2001, where I saw his full debut at Wilderspool. The team got outplayed and beaten that day convincingly. He scored an amazing try, and you knew from that moment that we had someone special on our hands.
My first memory of Rob was, must have been about 2000 when he was playing in the academy for Leeds, and literally seeing this little lad who was sprinting around, and I was there thinking, who is this lad? He's like a teeny tiny kid. Why are we allowing these little lads to play for us in the academy? And I remember after a couple of games, because I used to go in quite early on a Friday to watch those games, realising that actually he was only 14 months older than me. So my first memory is obviously seeing Rob playing as this little lad, absolutely killing all the opposition, running rings around him, and just being an absolute wonder star, thinking, when's he going to play first team for us?
My first memory of Rob, came aware of him at Travelers Saints. When he played there as a junior, we were playing a game after them, and as we were warming up on the pitch at the side of him, we all stopped, and we were like mesmerised with this young kid who looked so small, looked like he'd stepped onto the wrong pitch. Biggest shoulder pads in the world, but absolutely running riot, but looking classy when he was doing it as well. So it was certainly one of them where you could see that he was going to have a bright future, and then that future got brighter when he signed for Leeds, along with Danny Maguire from East Leeds, and I've been lucky enough to follow his career from start to finish.
So what's my first memory of Rob Burrow? It's actually from the first game I ever remember going to. We were playing London at home in 2004. Rob scored twice and we won the game comfortably, and that was the start of many happy years for me, watching Rob, run rings around other teams and win games for us.
Great thoughts from our regulars there. Thanks a lot, guys. So that's some of the first memories of Rob. Have you got a favourite? Now there's loads.
There's a plethora to choose from.
Wow. Someone's been listening to Cameron and Ian.
Word of the week, yeah. There's so many, and I've just... There's one that I'm going to say which will be everyone's, or be a lot of people's, but I'm going to leave that for a second. It sounds like a bit of our play of the week, but I've got some honourable mentions, which is one of them. It's got to be when he tried to punch Lowacki in that game against Warrington.
Just talk about, what's the saying? It's not about the...
It's not about the size of the dog. It's just
something up in an absolute nutshell.
Yeah.
And is it Keith Singh that comes running over and just starts laughing like, Rob, get away from me.
But that was Rob, wasn't it? Like, he just...
Absolutely.
Scrappy-Doo, wasn't it?
Didn't care about his size. he would front up. Like, I think it was.
He was solid.
I think it was. I've listened to so many interviews in the last week. And I think it might have been JP was saying that he would go into contact knowing that he was either going to get knocked out or he was going to make a break, and that was the line that he played with. And that, I think that's an example of it. He wasn't scared. He was never going to back down. Which
he just couldn't physically reach his face.
No, he
couldn't.
He were trying, jumping up.
I wanted to keep seeing you to come over and pick him up.
Yeah, but I think that shows the character of Rob. And I think I was also listening. There was a really good program on BBC Radio Leeds that James Dayton did with loads of interviews of former. And this is not my favourite memory, but I think it's definitely worth a mention about. I don't know if you've heard this, when he played a prank on Kylie Lulawai. You know, when you get all the hole punches and you have all the circular things from the hole punches, doesn't it? He filled all of Kylie Lulawai's air vents in his car with all those circular things, and then turned it all to the max setting on the on the vents.
Blew straight into his eyes.
And then when Kylie turned the car on, it just spat out all these hole punch things. And apparently,
I hope Kylie were really sweating and it all just stuck to his face.
Rob was in like another car just laughing in the car park. And that was a memory that it's not obviously one of mine, but I thought it was an absolute awesome story.
I didn't know that.
That's really worth listening to, that BBC Radio Leeds programme that was done there by James Dayton. But the favourite one, it is just the 2011 Grand Final and that try. Has to be. You know, I remember that try and that game in general is a game that I will still talk to with my dad on a regular basis. Yeah. When I introduced my cousin to rugby league, I was like going, that's the try I showed him first.
That's the starting point.
That's the moment I showed. It's such an iconic moment for rugby league, but for us as Leeds fans and as fans of Rob. And I remember because I couldn't, where I was stood in Old Trafford, I was right at the top of one of the top tier behind the posts.
Justin, agreed. Knock it down.
So I couldn't see the big screen, and I was still in utter disbelief at what had happened. So I went downstairs. I went underneath so I could watch it on the telly.
You could watch it again
because I couldn't believe the try. Yeah. And I was like, I need to see this again. Back in the days where you just couldn't get it on Twitter straight away. So that memory is just locked as a core memory. Because I mean, I was talking about my dad the other night in the pub, and it's just such an iconic moment. And I know it's such an easy one to say, but it's such an easy one to say because it was that good.
It's the best Leeds try. It's the best Grand Final try.
Well, mine's the same, but the second try that he set, not the second try, but the try he set up for Ryan Hall.
Yeah.
When he sends who's it? He sends into the stands with a dummy. I can't remember what I think. It's set on his wing. He does the dummy, and the winger completely buys it. He almost sends it into touch.
That was kind of when I knew that we'd won. So that's kind of a better moment for me. But was it that year that Brian McDermott came in, and was he starting to sub him? Was it that early? Was
it with Bluey, wasn't it then?
2011.
No, Bluey wasn't. No, he
Brian
wasn't
McDermott's first year.
Was it?
Yeah.
Was he subbing that game?
Yeah, he came on.
Yeah, he came on.
He came off.
It kind of sums him up because
because we had Danny Badouris, didn't we?
Yeah, there were a lot of. He wasn't happy with that.
No, he won't.
Even Brian McDermott talks about it, and but it shows you the measure of him.
Yeah.
That he said, "Well, I'll show you." That.
Came on, changed the game.
But the problem with that is he probably knackered himself up then because he changed the game as a sub.
As a sub till Brian McDermott said, "All right."
So then he did pretty much become a bench player, didn't he?
Off the back of that, yeah.
The most important bench player you could have.
I think it was Brian McDermott. It was on the House of League podcast with Matt Shaw, and he was saying people need to watch the Warrington semi-final because actually what he did in that game potentially was better than what he did to get in the actual grand final.
Than the final itself.
Yeah, but yeah, he could have left. He'd have been no short of offers, would he?
No.
And he didn't want to be subbed, but he did it for 6 years.
Super sub for 6 years.
Probably the best sub you're going to have. Yeah. So it sort of shows you the measure of him, really, doesn't it?
Yeah, unbelievable.
So I think, 2011 was special.
I'll say the assist for Danny, obviously, in the 2017 Grand Final, the little kick through when Danny dives over.
I did just literally just come on the pitch.
Just come on the pitch.
Come on. Pretty much his first touch.
Yeah.
Straight through. Danny and Rob, that telepathic grubber through. Danny flying over.
There's a lovely bit of commentary on that, if I recall rightly, with Barry McDermott saying there's a bit of history there.
Yeah.
And it was quite poignant because that was obviously the last game together.
Yeah.
It's a nice bit of commentary from Barry.
That game, though, and again, it's a clip that's gone the rounds recently where it's the post-match, and I think Tanya Arnold interviews him saying, what a way to bow out. And straight away, Rob was like, "No, I've had so lucky to have great teammates." Straight away, instinct wasn't to talk about him.
No, it was
straight away talk about his teammates again, and it's just you can pick all those memories we can talk about. There's multiple moments and all those core memories. I mean, I met him. You know, I know I had a photo taken with him. You know, that's a memory that I'll have. I'm so skinny back then. It's a lovely memory to look back on, apart from the fact how much weight I've put on since then.
I think going off on a bit of a tangent, but that's what's been nice about what we've seen over the last week and the sort of coverage of it is that his playing career, because unfortunately for the last 4.5 years or whatever it's been, his main focus obviously has been mnda and you know, but it's been really nice, hasn't it, to see footage again and sort of celebrating it rather than
what player he was.
Which, not that anyone's forgotten, but it was nice to see that push forward in the media and everything. It's
across numerous channels and networks.
So that's been one of the nice things, if you know, I don't know whether that's the right way to say
no,
it.
I get you, it's been lovely.
So it's been good reliving them memories. And as we record this today, the club put a try the day out again, haven't they?
They did, and wearing a scrum hat, and I never realised he wore a scrum hat.
Well, I think he only did when he'd got his head pretty much knocked off week before. So, did he have shoulder pads on?
Yeah, he had shoulder pads on.
I think
at
so.
the beginning. At the beginning, he did. Yeah, but so many memories. I mean, comment on yours below as well. What memories you've got? Your favourite memories?
Yes, good idea. Yeah. Drop your comments below.
But Rob. It's been difficult, hasn't it? Because there's obviously the go-to one with but there's so many.
Yeah.
But people commenting now with some that others have forgotten on YouTube. And here are some favourite memories from some of our regulars.
My favourite memory of Rob would have to probably be a simple one of him lifting the Super League trophy with Danny. You know, I love the 2011 tries, but just that moment of them finishing their Leeds careers together, two guys who I idolised, lifting the trophy together after everybody had written us off. To see them get that moment together, that meant a lot to me and was the perfect way to end their Leeds careers.
So Rob provided so many wonderful memories on the field, so it's hard to narrow down. My favourite memory though would probably be 2011 Grand Final. He provided the greatest assist in a Grand Final for Ryan Hall's try, and then also scored the greatest ever try himself, which led to him winning the Harry Sunderland by a unanimous vote, the only player ever to do so.
My favourite memory of Rob is, I think it was after one of the Grand Finals. It was a big event in the rugby club which was behind the South Stand at Headingley, and it was a Monday night. It was organised by the southstandard.com website, and Rob brought along the Super League trophy, and I remember him bringing it along, and I've never seen anybody look so happy to have this trophy with them. And there's a photo of me and Rob with the trophy, and literally you could see how much it meant to him, you know, like having this trophy with him. And I just remember me and him lifting the trophy up, and it was one of those moments where he looked really happy. I'd never even touched this trophy before, and I was like, wow. And it was one of those moments where you look back and I just think, those were really good times, and it's one of those that I'll never ever forget, you know, and it's special.
My favourite memory of Rob is by far the 2011 Grand Final versus St Helens. Scored one of the best tries I think you'll ever see in a Grand Final, right at a time where we needed it in that game. But to do what he did and to leave that quality aside of St Helens players standing, there weren't many people who could do that, but Rob was one of them when he had that magic where he could turn a game. And that's what he did, and to then get the man of the match unanimously by the 14 votes from the press was again just something really what you could only see Rob doing, and not that many other players are capable of doing that, but Rob certainly could.
So what's my favourite memory of Rob? I've no idea why this is a thing that sticks out, because it's definitely not the most impressive thing I saw him do, but it's from the 2007 Grand Final. We'd had a great start to the second half, we were 18-6 up. Then with about 25 minutes left, Rob kicked a drop goal, and that was the moment I knew we'd won that game. I just thought it was a great example of Rob's leadership and his game smarts, and of course we went on to pick up that trophy not long after.
Some great memories there from our regulars. Just to kind of wrap things up on this, what's been a really emotional and bit of a celebration, but slightly different angle from us for this podcast. Do you have a message to Rob, to the Rhinos, to Rob's family, Rhys? Something you'd like to say?
I think there's just utter admiration to Rob, not just for his career, the memories that he gave all of us and that team gave us, and I think we knew Rob was a special player, but we've learned in the last 4.5 years how much of a special human he was.
Really was.
I have the utmost respect and admiration to him and his family, Lindsay and the kids and Jeff and Irene, to opening up their lives to mnda, because we know it's not a nice disease to have. We know, unfortunately, what the outcome is, and I think the way that Rob and his family tackled it was shocked when Rob passed, because you kind of forgot that was potentially almost likely going to be the outcome. His attitude towards it really did inspire hope, and it was so positive, and that you didn't think about that, and that's why I was absolutely heartbroken when the news came through. But utter admiration for them to open up their lives, to show not just the impact on people that suffer from mnda, but the impact it has on family. And just raising that awareness. Rob always said at the start, it wasn't about him. It was about the postman or the person in the shop that also had mnda, that didn't have the support that he had, and was lucky to have from there. And I think, special words need to go out to Doddy. Doddy was the first person that looked after it, or that helped him after his diagnosis, and inspired him on the journey to raise as much money as Rob and Kev did. And I would like to think that Doddy was there wherever Rob went, when Doddy would have been there to welcome him. And I think just to the club in general, they've been phenomenal. I've almost just really fallen in love with the club in the last week and a half, because the way it's all been handled, you've got to pass on thanks to Phil Daly and Leanne in the marketing and PR team, because the way it's been handled, the communication we had the other day about the thought and depth that had gone into all the tributes that people made, to even think about the flowers that people left that they're going to be composted into the memorial garden. They've thought about everything, and to make sure that everyone's tribute that they've made in their own way is still going to be celebrated, not just for this week when they've been laid out in front of the South Stand. They'll be they'll be remembered forever. So I think the club have been absolutely amazing, and they deserve a big thank you for us all as well, for allowing us all to be able to celebrate Rob and his family.
Chris, we got a message for Rob's family, the club.
I think Rhys pretty much nailed it. Really, I think to pick up on a point you made, I think we, like you said, we knew he was a special player, but he was quite not shy, but he didn't live his life out in public, did he? He didn't court publicity, and the way that he's opened himself up at the most vulnerable time. Like you say, you can't imagine what he must have gone through with that. Do you know what I mean? So it's we hide ourselves away if you've got a cold, if you don't feel well, so to sort of open that your life up to everyone like that. And I think like you say, it's shown everyone what the person he was, and not just him, his family have just been unbelievable, haven't they? So it's and you can just tell that with the whole, not just the rugby league community, because I know it's a bit of a cliche, but like the rugby league family and that, but everyone's been amazing, haven't they? There's not, and every club and everything like that, so that sort of shows the mark of the man. It's very rare that there's a player that every opposition team's fans like. Do you know what I mean?
I think that can be summed up by the Challenge Cup this weekend, because there's photos I've seen with Warrington fans in this year's jersey, and they've gone and put Burrow 7 on the back.
Yeah, they've been unbelievable.
I can't think any other sport, regardless of the situation, that would do that. So I think
No, I agree.
I think that just shows that the respect that people have had for the family, and not just Rob, just that they want to show the respect.
There's footage of Wigan fans in a pub singing "There's only one Rob Burrow,"
and I think there's a lot of praise needs to go on the BBC and stuff as well, because they've covered it.
Has been fantastic.
They've covered it amazingly well, haven't they? And it was on front page at newspapers. It's unheard of. But with that brought the, people know more about mnda. Yeah, which is what Rob wanted. Which is
why I let the cameras into his life.
Exactly,
throughout his whole.
More people know about it now.
Yeah.
So that's his, one of his main legacies, isn't it?
Absolutely.
It was quite. It's a shame he never got to see it, but getting that centre starting to be built.
Yeah.
The day after.
Yeah.
It's quite
passed. Yeah. Absolutely. So powerful. It's unbelievable.
Yeah. And they asked him if it should go ahead, and apparently he said yes.
He said, do
it. I can't think of more superlatives to speak about him and his family, really. It's been... his poor dad, is in bits.
His mum and dad,
His mum seemed a bit more like Jeff seemed to not want to do the interviews because it was too upsetting, and he didn't. And his kids as well, they've been amazing, haven't they? Them kids.
Yeah.
So I think it's just, like I say, it's nice isn't the right word, but it's heartwarming to see what's happened since
the reactions,
he did pass away. And like Rhys says, the club have just been unbelievable. And they've let everyone do everything in their own way as well, haven't
they?
Yeah. I know me and Rhys have been down to lay a shirt down, and it was so peaceful. I mean, I went quite late at night, which I'm glad I did, because it was quite a personal thing for me. It's not something I'd usually do. I've never done that before. A bit weird, even with family members. I don't go to like memorials or things like that, because it's not usually how I deal with things, but I just felt I need to go. I put one of my old shirts down with 7 on, and it was like I'd not moved on, but it really helped.
Yeah.
Because I think we all felt a bit numb, didn't we?
Oh, massively.
So it's that really helps, and you can only thank the club. And like Rhys says, I think it's made you fall in love with the club a bit. Again.
Absolutely. I've never loved the club more.
Yeah.
Than I have this week.
So it's again, it's one of the things that's been really heartwarming.
I agree.
It'll carry on now, won't it? And I hope it does.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Kev's never going to stop, is he? So,
never.
Well, he's got his challenge in December, and all we can do is carry on supporting Kev. Kev will never stop, so we can't stop.
Never stop.
We can't stop either.
No, and I'm sure he's not watching, but his thoughts go out to him as well. He's lost his best mate, hasn't he?
Yeah, he has.
I think all the squad of that era as well. They've all been speaking. When I was at the ground, obviously Richie Mathers was there. JJB's done some fantastic interviews. Jamie P, Kylie Uluwai, they've lost a great friend as well. But equally, they've been sharing their stories, and them sharing their stories, like the one I told about Kylie Uluwai and the hole punch. That it's amazing stories, isn't it?
Yeah.
And then them sharing that as well. But I can't. Yeah, I think the phrase for me, just fall in love with the club all over again for how well they've done it. But it's utter admiration for Rob and his family.
Yeah.
£50 million raised in funds towards charities.
An
M&D centre now, which is now going to be bespoke, specific. They were told that Rob was in a waiting room and he had to walk out the same waiting room after his diagnosis and go past people.
Yeah.
Where was the dignity in that? Rob's improved M&D. For anyone that has it now.
There's a legacy there forever.
There certainly is, and it's the club have always been good at remembering past players and things. Haven't they? When you go to games, I just, that league game is going to be quite special.
It really is. Absolute sellout, by the way.
I'm kind of dreading it.
I am.
Because I think it'll be...
it's going to be a tough one.
It'll be a tough one.
But
you've got to watch a game afterwards, haven't you? It's like... I always find...
It's like 2 events.
I always find the minute silence quite moving anyway.
Yeah, me too.
For old players, or just even the when they do the last post and that sort of thing. So
it's quite emotional.
Yeah.
So that's our thoughts. Here's the message to Rob families, Rob's family, and the club from some of our regulars.
My message to Rob and his family, it's a tough one. Just what a wonderful man, what a special human being, both on and off the rugby pitch. I think what he did on the rugby pitch set the tone for what he would do off it. I think on the pitch he was a mountain of a man despite his stature and had a heart of a lion. He would never say no, and that attitude he took into fighting MND, and obviously was a massive inspiration for the MND community. But anyone in life, I feel anyone in life can learn a lot from Rob and his family, and the way they tackled adversity and never said no and inspired hope. And if we could all be a bit more like the Burrow family, the world would be a better place.
Thank you for all the wonderful memories. A warrior on and off the field, forever our number 7.
What I say to Rob's family and friends, you literally are an amazing family, and you guys have helped inspire so many people, not just in the World Rugby League but elsewhere now, and also in the mnd community. And you guys have literally made a lot of people smile, and nobody will ever forget it. Nobody's not going to leave you alone. The family of Leeds Rhinos and all the people associated will always continue thinking of you and making sure you guys are alright. There's no doubt about that. What's
my message to Rob and his family? It's just a simple thank you to Rob for everything. The amount of smiles he put on people's faces. Just hope you know how much joy he brought to people watching him play rugby. And the amount of good times what he had should certainly outweigh them bad times. And the courage and bravery of how we fought his MND diagnosis. And his family, everybody will speak about Rob every day, and hopefully that his family and his children get to know just how much of a great person Rob was, great rugby league player and a great family man as well.
So my message to Rob and his wonderful family is just thank you. Starting with Rob, thank you for being a key part of a generation of players who dragged this club to new heights. Thank you for the tries, for the moments of individual brilliance, for the trophies and just your overall contribution to this club. As a fan base, we'll be forever grateful, and you truly will never be forgotten. And to the family, just thank you for being so brave to open up over the last 4.5 years and raise so much awareness of MND and the reality of it. The progress that's been made in that time and the funds raised has just been unbelievable. So thank you for showing us how to respond to adversity and how to make the best of what is the worst situation a family can possibly imagine. And thank you for allowing us to support you as well, and the support won't end here.
Some lovely messages there from our regulars. Thanks a lot to them for opening up and sharing all their memories of Rob. Thanks to Chris, thanks to Rhys for opening up as well, sharing some. Thanks for listening, everybody. Just one final message from me, from Rhys, from Chris, from everyone at the Lot Pod. Rob, we will continue banging the drum.
I think Rob's at the forefront of that, and the Burrow family. And then obviously this run represents Doddy, Stephen Darby, now Ed Slater, the Gloucester Rugby Union Lock. So, and then the MND community. Over the last couple of years, I've met so many wonderful families who have been challenged by this disease, and we've got to keep banging the drum and trying to help.
Thank you, Rob. We'll always keep banging the drum.
Thank you, Rob. You have helped give me some of the best moments I've ever had with some of my best mates watching Leeds, and I'll never, ever, ever forget the memories of you scoring and playing in that famous blue and amber shirt. We'll keep on banging our drum as well.
Thank you, Rob. We'll keep banging the drum.
Thank you for everything, Rob.
Thank you, Rob. We'll keep banging the drum.